So your close rate, might be really strong, but you're still, you still feel broke. And so what I want to show here is a simple sales funnel, and then I'm going to show you what is the actual monetary difference between a 30% close rate, 30% from lead to close. Need some help creating this, just let me know. But essentially it's just, what day did the lead come in, where'd they come from, and what rep is assigned to them. And then you'll have minutes to first contact, which if you have a contact time and the lead time, you just subtract the two. And then all of this is binary. So contacted, yes or no. Appointment set, yes or no. 0 is no, 1 is yes. How many days out is the appointment? Did they show up to the appointment? And then did you give them an estimate, and then a closed flag. And so let's get started. What we're going to do is first we need to get all of these. So we're not going to do it. We're going to do the appointment shown, but we're not going to do the estimate given flag. Just did they show up, and then did you close them and receive, like collect money from them. So we need to start with counting the number of leads things, except if there's blanks, but we'll just count, the lead source. And so equals, count A. And then because it's a table, right? So we have that here. I'm just going to center everything. I'll make this left justified. And then press Control Shift 1 to format it. And then so 100%. Or you could just do, equals the lead source, the count of lead source divided by the count of the lead source. Like you're going to get 100. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to count or sum the number of ones here, because there's, let me find a 0. Okay, so the next thing we want is we just want to create this simple funnel chart, right? We want to create this right here. So just highlight this, go to insert, you can just see recommended charts, and then it's this one right here. And we can call this, we don't need this series, we can delete that. And we can just call this a simple, sales funnel. And it looks a little bit different than this one. And I'll show you, there's different ways you can, format things. And let me show you how to do that. So we can just stretch this out. And what you can do is if you just make it a little bit thinner, then the columns, the width of the columns will be less. Okay, so we have that, super straightforward, and that was the easy one. This other stuff gets a little bit more complex, and so what we need now is we need the lead source, the unique list of the lead source, and I'll show you how to get that. All you need to do is use the unique function. So I'll just type right here, type lead source, and then equals unique, and then data, and then you can click on the lead source. You can see here that it's the table. We want to map the table. And so if you, let me real quick, I'll highlight this, Control C, Control Shift V. And then if you want to, I'll show you, there's a couple ways to do this, but if you want this to be sorted alphabetically, you can highlight not lead source, but everything else. And then, A is the end of the data tab. Another way, I'll just show it to you sort of fast, unique, and then we want to sort the table, or sorry, equals sort unique table lead. So you don't need to. Okay. So then from here, what we need is lead to contact for direct mail. So what we want to do is we want to sum. If you think about this, this is going to be a ratio, right? It's going to be a percentage. And so we're going to have on the top the contacted, right? How many ones were in the contacted column versus how many leads there were. So we want to sum where there's a 1 for the contact column and the lead source was direct mail divided by the number of the lead source, right? So equals, SUMIFS table, and then we want to do the sum range, which is the contacted flag, right? And then the criteria is going to be, again, the table, and then the lead source here is direct mail, right? So it's 175. that's the numerator of the equation. And the denominator is going to be essentially a count of the number of leads. So COUNTIF S, and then it's going to be table, and then you could do lead source, comma, direct mail. And now you have a percentage. And then you can just double click that, and that'll drag down. So the next thing we want to do is we want to do how many appointments were set, not the show rate, but how many appointments were set versus how many people were contacted. So I'm gonna start to go a little bit faster, but this time it's going to be the SUMIFS. And now what we want to sum is the appointment set flag, which is sum range table. Right now we want the appoint table sum table, and then now we want the appointment shown flag for the table lead source B15 divided by, here I'll press enter again. So 86 showed up, but we want to divide this SUMIFS appointment set, right? The appointment set flag, not the show flag. The show flag is the numerator. And then table lead source B15. And now you have your percentage. Right? And so here you can see, 4 out of 5 leads or 1 out of 5 leads is not showing up. Moving along here. So now we want the close rate. So table the close flag, where the lead source is B15 divided by the table divided by SUMIFS table appointment show flag, right? Where table lead source B15. All right. So yeah, so here you can see this is the close flag divided by the appointment show flag. Yep. So you're closing, 51%, 45%, right? You have a very high close rate, but you have a lot of leakage here, right? So the lead to close is going to be lower than the lead to contact rate. So we don't want to do that. I'm going to press Control Z and back out. We want to do it at the column level. So you can highlight the column, conditional formatting, color scales. Conditional formatting is on the home tab. Color scales, and then green as high. You can see here red is high, but we don't want green is the higher number is better, right? And I'll show you a little trick here. What you don't have to do, you don't have to redo that, 4 other times. If you highlight that column and then double click the format painter, you can just click the first number of each one and it'll do it for you. And so, yeah, so we have that here. Like, that's the first part. I know that took a while, but I'm going to show you a little trick to do this one way faster. I mean, like seconds. And so I'm going to copy this, paste it here. And then instead of lead source, I'm going to do sales rep. I'm going to delete everything here. So you're getting all these errors. But now what I want to do is I want the unique list of the table of the sales rep. Right? And so we got that here. So we can highlight this, drag this down one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sort this. I'm going to sort it, alphabetically. Oh, why didn't that work? Sort, unique, table, sales rep. Yeah, I don't know why that didn't work. That was weird. Okay. Highlight this, Control C, Control Shift V, just to remove the formula. Okay, so what you'll notice is everything here was based off of the lead source, right? So we still want the contacted flag. We still want, the appointment set flag. We just want lead source to change. And we want it to change. What we can do is we can see, instead of lead underscore source, what we can do is we can do equals average ifs, and we want to average the table booked revenue here. And the first criteria range is going to be the sales rep. So again, table sales rep and then that's going to be, B25. So we have this. This is very low because it's not real. It's not the right number. And the reason it's not the right number is because it's averaging all the zeros. And so we need to, right? It's taking the average of the zeros. So we need to go back to this column as another criteria range, comma, and then the criteria is greater than 0. And you can see it went from 2300, to 9600. And then the same thing for Brian Sullivan. So again, let's see the difference. Equals this times the close rate, and then equals this times the average deal size, right? So you're leaving 80,000 on the table by having Alex handle your leads versus Brian Sullivan, right? So definitely something, worth looking into, like once you have your data structured this way. Let me just copy this and bring it down, and you can just sort of see how much, revenue is being left on the table. So like, Brian Sullivan needs to train, some of these other leads. This is not right. Right. And so you can see just from here that, he's performing the best. And then compared to a lot of these other leads, there's a lot of money being left on the table. So, a 5% increase in your close rate, closing 5 more out of 100 is going to really increase, the revenue over the course